Hello and welcome to one and all. I am Miss Premal Popat and today we are going to study the module 2 of elements, compounds and mixtures. And this is a topic from 7th standard science textbook, and in this module we will be studying in detail about elements, compounds and mixtures, all the properties and how they work. So let's proceed with the topic. In our previous module, we studied about matter and the classification of matter. We know that matter is classified into two types, pure substances and mixtures. And pure substances are further classified into two more types, which are elements and compounds. So in this module, we are going to study about elements and compounds in detail. So what is an element? A substance whose molecules are made of one or more atoms which are exactly alike. Now over here, a substance should be made of the same atom. Now if I have an hydrogen atom, so the molecule should be of an hydrogen atom. Okay, so this is known as element. Now what are the examples of elements? The examples are gold, oxygen, silver, aluminium. These all are examples of elements. Now over here we can see the silver ring. The whole object is made of silver only. There are only molecules or atoms of silvers. Similarly, in case of aluminium, this is aluminium foil paper. So this foil paper is made of aluminium atoms only. And the bar of gold, this is also made of gold. Like all the atoms or molecules in this object or bar is made of gold only. So element is nothing but a substance whose molecules are made of one or more atoms which are exactly alike. All the molecules or atoms should be same, and hence it is called an element. So all substances are made of extremely tiny particles. Now if we take example of gold bar, so this all these tiny particles come together and you get big bar of gold, right? So these substances are made of tiny minute particles or atoms which we can see and we can't see through our eyes. So the smallest particles of substances are molecules. So the smallest particles of these substances are nothing but molecules. And the smallest particles of elements are made of only one type of atoms. So we know that the smallest particles of elements are made of only one type of atoms. So this was all about element. So this atomic theory was given by a great scientist, Democritus. Okay, so he was a Greek philosopher during 400 BC, that is before Christ. So he was the person who discovered atoms and hence came up with atomic theory. Now he named the smallest piece of matter atomos, meaning not to be cut. Now the smallest particle atom he first named as atomos. That means it cannot be divided into furthermore atoms or say particles. We know that atom cannot be divided into furthermore particles. Atom is the smallest unit of matter. So hence he named the smallest piece of matter as atomus and it cannot be cut further. So Democritus atoms were small hard particles that were all made of the same material but were different shape and sizes. Okay, so atoms of different elements have different shapes and sizes. Atoms were infinite in number, always moving and capable of joining together. We know that all the objects, all the matter is made of many atoms. So these atoms are infinite in number. We cannot count all the atoms, and also they are moving and are capable of joining together by chemical reaction. So atoms can join, they can lose electron, they can gain electron. So they have the capability of joining together. So Democritus was the great scientist who developed this atomic theory. So students, I have few questions for you all to answer. Which elements are present in air? So we know that we breathe oxygen through air. So oxygen is present in air. Then hydrogen. Okay. Then nitrogen. Also carbon dioxide is present in air. And there are various other gases which are present in air. So these are the elements which are present in air. Over here, now carbon dioxide, it is present in air but it is not an element. Why? Because the molecules of carbon dioxide are not made of the same atoms. So we can say that carbon dioxide is not an element. So which are all the elements which are present in air? Oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen and so on. So these are all elements which are present in air. Now also carbon dioxide is present in air, right? So is carbon dioxide an element? No. Just now we saw that carbon dioxide is not an element. Why? Because there are two types of atoms which give you carbon dioxide, and that is why carbon dioxide is not an element. Now oxygen occurs in nature in the gaseous state. We know that we breathe in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. So it is a gas and we inhale that gas. So it is present in the nature in gaseous state. Now this is the atomic configuration or atomic structure of oxygen. This is the nucleus at the center. We know that nucleus of an atom is at the center and nucleus comprises of protons and neutrons. So oxygen has 8 protons and 8 neutrons, and protons are positively charged. Now we know that electrons are revolving in the orbits around nucleus. So oxygen has 8 electrons and 8 protons, also 8 neutrons. Now this first shell occupies 2 electrons. So the capacity of the first shell is to occupy 2, then 8 and so on. Now so 2 electrons are gone, so there are 6 more electrons remaining. So in the second shell there are 6 electrons. Okay. So these 6 electrons, all the electrons are revolving in their respective orbits. So two atoms of oxygen are joined to form a molecule of oxygen which has an independent existence. Okay. Now this is one atom of oxygen. One more atom of oxygen is joined. Okay. So that we'll get O2, which is nothing but the molecule of oxygen. Right. Oxygen is in air is always in molecular state. Okay. Now this oxygen O2, that is in the molecular state. In air it is always in its molecular state, not in the single state, that is O. So in air it is always in the molecular state. Mostly gases in the air are in the molecular state. So just like atoms, molecules also cannot be seen with our naked eyes. Atoms, we know that atoms are very small. Also these molecules are very small, like O2. O2 is 2 atoms of oxygen. Still we cannot see molecules with our naked eyes. So there was a scientist named Berzelius. So he was the first one to use the present method of using symbols for elements. Now there are many elements present in nature. So all these elements are represented by a symbol so that it is easy for us to understand. And also these elements will have the symbol. So symbol of an element is written in the English script and is the short form of its name. So over here we can see there are first 20 elements from the periodic table. Okay. For the first element is hydrogen. So hydrogen is named as H. That is the symbol for hydrogen is H. For helium it is He. Lithium it is Li, and beryllium is Be. Now if there are two letters, then the first letter is written capital and the second one is small. For example, for neon it is Ne, magnesium Mg, sodium Na, aluminium Al, and for carbon it is C, nitrogen it is N, and so on. So these are the symbols used to represent the elements in the periodic table. Elements are divided into metals and non-metals. In the periodic table, we can see all the elements and they are divided into metals and non-metals. So, metals are shiny compared to non-metals. Non-metals are dull. That means they don't have shine. They don't have luster. Now, metals are good conductors of electricity. That means electricity can be conducted through these metals. For example, copper and so on. Non-metals are poor conductors of electricity. That means electricity cannot be conducted through non-metals. Metals are malleable. Now what do we mean by malleable? By applying a pressure, so it can be shaped. So if you apply some pressure on this metal using a hammer or some instrument or an object, so these metals can be shaped. Non-metals at room temperature, only a few are solids that are brittle. Okay, non-metals at room temperature, only few are solids. Metals are ductile. Now ductile is nothing but it can be drawn into thin wire. We have the copper wires, right? The metals can be drawn into thin wires, and non-metals most are gases. The examples of metals are gold, silver, copper, and so on, and non-metals are hydrogen, oxygen, and helium. So elements are divided into metals and non-metals. And these are all the properties of metals as well as non-metals. Now there is a small demonstration. Take sugar in a test tube and heat the test tube. Observe what happens, what remains behind. So over here we can see a test tube and it is placed above the burner, and there is a sugar in this test tube and we are heating this test tube. So after some time there is some residue remaining behind in the test tube. So what can we see? We can see a black color thing which is there in the test tube. So in first case the sugar melts. Now when we heat the sugar melts, right? The crystals of the sugar will melt, and then it loses water, leaving behind a black substance. So during heating, so what can we see? The sugar will melt and also it will lose the water, and we can see a black substance in this test tube. So this black substance is nothing but carbon. Okay, so carbon is an element and it is denoted by C. So what does this imply? How many elements is sugar made of? So see, this sugar is made of many elements, right? So when we heated the sugar, we saw this black substance and we saw carbon. Okay, there was water and there was carbon and also other elements. So what can we say from this small demonstration? That this sugar is made of many elements. Okay, so and that also these elements are different. Okay, so when these elements come together and it gives you a one substance. So this substance will fall under different category. Let us understand about such substances. So now in sugar, in the previous slide we saw that sugar was made of many elements. That means elements combining together gives you another substance. Now this is nothing but the substance formed by combining of two or more elements is nothing but a compound. So sugar is a compound. So how do we define a compound? When two or more different elements combine, they form a compound. And the smallest unit of a compound is a molecule. So many molecules of this compound will come together and it will give you a bigger compound. Now over here we can see in the picture that we have Na, that is sodium and chlorine. Now when Na reacts with Cl, you get NaCl, which is known as a common salt. So NaCl is a compound. Compound is nothing but when two or more different elements, different are not same elements. So when two or more different elements combine together, they give you a compound. Which element helps combustion? So there are certain elements which will help combustion. Combustion is nothing but the act of burning something or the process of burning. Okay, an element, it will burn or it will help in the process of burning. This is known as combustion. So does water help combustion? No, water doesn't help combustion, right? Why? If something is burning, we pour water on it so that fire will stop. So water, on the other hand, it won't help combustion. We know that elements are the substances which contain only one kind of atom. For example, helium and oxygen. These both substances are nothing but elements. Why? Because they contain only one type of atom. On the other hand, compound. Now compound contains two or more kind of atoms. For example, water. The molecular formula for water is H2O. It contains two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. Okay. Now hydrogen is a combustible substance, that is it burns. Hydrogen will burn because it is a combustible substance, and oxygen will help combustion. That means it will help in the process of burning. So these both elements, hydrogen separately and oxygen separately, both will help combustion, and these both are elements. But water is not combustible. Now water comprises of hydrogen and oxygen. These all elements, they come together and give you water molecule. But water is not combustible. So what can we imply from this? We can say that the properties of a compound are different from those of constituent elements. Now properties of elements of hydrogen and oxygen separately are different, but when they come together and when they give you a compound, the properties are completely different from the individual elements. Molecular formula is used to represent a compound. So what is a molecular formula? Basically, molecular formula of a compound is a short form of its name written. So instead of writing the whole name hydrogen, we can just write its molecular formula with the help of the symbols of the constituent elements and the number of respective atoms. Now over here we can say that this oxygen occurs in the molecular state. So we write O2. Why? Because there are two atoms of oxygen. Similarly, hydrogen. Hydrogen also occurs in molecular state. So that's why two atoms of hydrogen and we write H2. Same goes with nitrogen. Now over here, carbon dioxide. It's written as CO2. CO2 is the molecular formula of a compound, that is carbon dioxide. So it has one carbon atom and two oxygen atoms. That's why it is CO2. Similarly, water, two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen, that is H2O. And carbon monoxide, it contains one carbon atom and one oxygen atom. That is why CO. So this molecular formula is nothing but a short form. Instead of writing a big name, we just can write its molecular formula. Now mixtures. The last part of this chapter is nothing but the mixtures. So what are mixtures? On the screen we can see so many mixtures, like so many substances are mixed together. Okay, over here we can see gems, candies are mixed together, then this salad, soup. So these are nothing but mixtures. So let us study about mixtures in detail. Mixture is made of two or more substances combined together. Some examples of mixtures are Chex Mix or salad. Now over here we can see that these mixtures are nothing but when two or more substances are combined together. In this, over here we can see a salad. So there are tomatoes, there are so many veggies, corn and so on. So when you mix all these veggies you get a mixture. So mixture is the mixture of two or more substances which are combined together. So what are the mixtures used in everyday life? Like there are so many mixtures used in everyday life. For example, this salad, soup and so on. So all mixtures useful to us? Let us see if all the mixtures are useful to us. So mixing unwanted substances in any foodstuff is known as adulteration. We have already studied about adulteration. Adulteration is the mixing of unwanted substances or foodstuffs. Okay. And we know that adulterated food is not good for us. Why? Because we might fall sick. An adulterated foodstuff is also a mixture. Why? Because two or more substances are mixed together, but they are not completely mixed like a compound. Like in compound we can see like the individual atoms will lose their properties and it will give you a different substance, but over here it is just mixed. They do not mix completely and give you a different substance. Now over here on the screen we can see an image where you see the pure food stuff, pure food grains and adulterated ones. Sometimes shopkeepers, they do this adulteration process to gain profit. So we need to understand that which food is adulterated and which food is not. So over here we can see some food grains are mixed with black grains over here. Okay, just to gain profit. This adulterated food is not good for our health and we should avoid eating it, and we should be able to identify this adulterated food when you go to markets. So students, in this module we studied in detail about all the properties of elements, compounds and mixtures. Thank you for your attention.